Okay, my name's Cody Goranson, and this is the intro to video assignment 2 or video project 2. To start the training, we're gonna warm up with 5 minutes of biking. The bike I bike on at the gym, you can like set the resistance. I keep it low at 6 out of 20. I just go 5 minutes, nothing too intensive. It does warm me up. And then after that, we'll get into our dynamic stretching, and let's get to it. Okay, for our warm-up, we're going to do a series of stretches. We're going to be doing a series of stretches and a couple of some activation, mobilization stuff. All right. Now, our first stretch we're going to do is going to be a 90-90 hamstring stretch. And we're going to do it dynamically. 10 each leg twice. So to do it, you gotta lay down. And this is really good for tight hamstrings. Okay. And you're gonna get down. Lay flat on the ground. Leg up. Hip and knee flexed. And then you're gonna extend at the knee. That's one. We got 9 more. Next leg. 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 9, 10. Whew. So you can tell I have very tight hamstrings. Now, back to the other leg. All right. Other leg, last 10. 4, 5, 6, 7, 10. Whew. Very nice. Now, our next 2 are also going to be down here on the ground, so I'm going to stay seated. But our next stretch, we're going to do some seated erector stretches. So you're going to sit up, legs straight, and you're going to flex one leg, bring your foot over the knee. Okay. Now, with your foot over your knee, just like me, you're going to have one hand back, and your other arm, you're going to have rested against your knee, and you will rotate. Now, to do it dynamically, personally, I keep my arms kind of free, but you gotta make sure you keep your back straight. You don't round out, okay? So back straight. And I keep my arms free. And I do 1, and I come back. 2, and I come back. We'll do 10 each side. One more. Beautiful. Now switch sides, switch legs. 2, 3, 4, and 10. Very nice. Now, for our next stretch down here on the ground, we're going to be stretching our calves by going through some plantar and dorsiflexion, okay? So you're gonna have your feet straight. Scoot back for you guys. Feet straight. I lift one leg up off the ground, and then you're going to dorsiflex all the way up and plantar flex all the way down. Dorsiflex, plantar flex. Dorsiflex, plantar flex. We'll do 10, so we've got 6 more after this. I usually help myself by holding my leg up. Not gonna lie. 1 more. Oh, beautiful. Now you're gonna feel a really deep stretch up here at the insertion or the attachment of your tendon, your Achilles, and your calf. Okay. Now switch legs. You'll especially feel it coming up at the deepest range and down at the deepest range. Right here, right here. 5 more. And 10. Boom. Beautiful. Now, I love those. Do them all the time, but they're especially great on a day like today, where we're going to be doing some jumping. Okay. Okay, now for our next stretch, we're going to stand up and we're going to do a back reach. So usually you can do it against the wall and have something, or you can put your hands together like me. And now I'm not very flexible. I don't have the greatest range of motion, but you're going to extend back. Keep your back straight, or straight as possible. Don't jut your head forward like I did there. Okay, or I usually tend to do. And we'll go as deep as we can. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm gonna do some sideways for you. 7, 8, 9, last one, 10. Ooh, very good for your chest. And I also like it because I do feel pretty good stretch in my triceps. Oh, and a little bit back here, okay? Now for our next part of our warm-up, we're going to get into some activation with an isometric squeeze. Okay, this one is to kind of help activate the chest, some of the core, and get it woken up and ready for what we're about to do. So to do it, you're just gonna stand up about hip width, legs straight, back straight, and then you're going to put your palms together, just like me. So I want you to bring your hands and turn them and you're going to squeeze them together as hard as you can. But while you squeeze, make sure you keep good posture. You want your shoulders back, chest out, okay, back straight, and you want to make sure your head is aligned with the spine, okay? And you're going to squeeze and activate your core muscles and your abdominals. And we're going to hold it for 20 seconds. Make sure you're breathing, okay? Don't hold your breath when you do this. And boom, 20 seconds. Okay, good way to wake up the chest. And now, finally, some mobilization. We're gonna do some overhead squats. Now, some of our jumps today, we're avoiding knee flexion, okay? But let's kind of get used to driving force through our lower extremity. So hands up, feet shoulder width apart, arms straight. You're going to squat and come back up. Squat until your thighs is parallel with the ground, okay? Also make sure you keep your arms straight. You don't want them to come forward. And make sure your knees stay aligned with the toes. We'll do 10 to warm up. Six more. Two more. Very nice. And that is our warm-up. Okay, now to do some lower body plyometrics, we're going to be doing some drop jumps. First set, we're going to do 10 contacts, so a total of 10 jumps onto the ground. And we're going to just be doing classic bilateral drop jump, okay? So to do it, you'll need a box. I'm doing a 12-inch box. And we're going to stand feet hip width apart, toes straight, straight back. I'll draw my shoulders back slightly, have my chest out, arms at the side, and your head is aligned with the spine, okay? Now for the drop step, drop jump, you're going to flex the hip and drop off the box, okay? And when you drop, you'll maintain an extended position. And when you land on the balls of your feet, you can't see my feet, but you're going to land on the balls of your feet into an athletic landing position. Okay, but the exercise isn't done yet. From the athletic landing position, you're going to drop and explode with max power. Okay, try and make it as quick as possible and time on the ground as short as possible. So limits to do our 10. Two, three, four, five, seven, six, sorry. 8, 7, 2 more. 8. That one might have been a little too slow. 9. And last one. 10. We'll take a breather and then get into our next set. Okay, now After about 2 minutes rest, I'm back and I'm ready to do my next set. We're going to do some more bilateral drop jumps, but instead of a jump straight up, we're going into a broad jump to try and give ourselves some more power and force production by propelling the body forward after the land. Okay, so I'm gonna move my box back a little bit, and we're gonna do another 10, but with a broad jump instead of a jump straight up. Okay. Same process. Hip width apart, toes straight, straight back, head aligned with spine. We'll drop and then broad jump. Seven more. Better, that one's much better. Better. Two more. One more. Beautiful. Pretty tired. I don't know why, that hurt my legs, but I will point out one thing off rip. I feel like I myself on some of those took too long. I had too long of a contact time from landing to my broad jump. So we want to make sure we're keeping that step or that phase of the exercise as short as possible. We'll take a breather, come back for our last set. Okay, now after 2 minutes of rest, we're back ready to do our last set. In this one, we're going to be doing bilateral, kind of more similar to standard, except instead of in the sagittal plane, we'll do them in the frontal plane. So we'll be doing them laterally, okay? So, to do them, now instead of standing at the edge of the front of your box, we're standing at the edge of the side, okay? And we're going to still be hip width apart, toes straight, everything's the same, except now you're going to step off sideways or in the frontal plane, off your box, and you will land sideways, lateral, okay? And then step off and explode. That's one. Two. Three. Four. Five. Six. Whew. I need a break before I do my last four. Now we're back for our last four. Three more. Beautiful. We'll get our rest and then get into some closed agility drills. Okay, now exercise number 2 for our lower body plyometrics. We're going to be doing some pogo jumps. Now, move the camera back a little bit. For our pogo jumps, feet, you're gonna be standing, feet hip width apart. Okay, you don't wanna be shoulder width, be hip width for this one. And toes straight, okay, you're gonna have very tiniest, you don't wanna lock out your legs, okay, but you wanna have pretty straight legs, very minimal flexion at the knees, especially when we're jumping, okay? When we land, you don't wanna land and flex at the knees, not for pogos, okay? Now, we're going to do 20 taps or 20 contacts. That will be one set. Our first set is going to be a classic bilateral pogo hops. When you do it, you want to land on the balls of your feet, okay? And now, when you land, it's going to rapidly stretch your calves. And then when you explode and jump, it's going to rapidly give you your concentric movement, okay? Now, getting into it, let's do our 20. Remember, when you jump, keep your legs pretty stiff. You don't want to flex at the knees. Keep that time on the ground very minimal. Ready? I think I might have done an extra one or two in there, but that is your bilateral pogo hops plyometric, okay? Now for our next ones, we're going to do them same way. We're going to do them weighted, but I'm going to take a little breather. I'll come back and do the next set. Okay, now back, rested. I rested for about 90 seconds, 2 minutes, around that range. Now we're gonna do them weighted. Okay, weight, I'd say, I mean, we're not trying to do a lot of weight. Okay, let me explain a little bit before we do them. You're not gonna load a lot of weight. Okay, that's not where your intensity is coming from. Your intensity is still from your taps, your contacts. Okay, you don't want to put so much weight that it increases your time on the ground, right? Because it's heavy, it's a lot of weight. Also, the more weight that you load, more bend at the knees, which we don't want with pogos. 3, I'm gonna say, third thing about it, keep the weight to 5 to 20% of someone's like body weight, all right? Nothing too crazy, nothing too heavy. I've got 5-pound dumbbells, so we've got 10 pounds, okay? I weigh 145, so that's not a lot. That's in that range of 5 to 20%, okay? We're doing the same thing, unilateral, we're jumping, we're doing pogos, keeping the knees with very minimal flexion. Our back is straight, head is aligned with the spine, okay? And I do draw my shoulders back a little bit. I didn't mention that before, but I'm gonna mention it now. I draw my shoulders back just slightly. And now for my pogos. Those are good. But see, as you can tell, my jump height was lowered a little bit, and that's okay. That's gonna happen with the weight. But you don't wanna have so much weight that it lowers your jump height to where you're not even leaving the ground, to where you're maybe barely right here. And honestly, I'm not gonna lie, that kind of looked like what I did, but I have very weak legs, quite frankly. But let me take a breather and we'll get into our last set. Okay, I got my rest in, about 2 minutes, and now for our last set, we're going to do unilateral pogo hops. Okay, so we're doing them on one leg now. We'll start the same way, feet hip width apart, and then we'll just pick up one leg. But now, what I'm gonna say regarding this, unilaterally, same thing, to keep it plyometric, we wanna make sure that our time on the ground is minimal. Okay, we don't wanna take our time with our jumps And also, like I did there, we don't want to flex at the knee. Okay, we're still doing pogos, so keep it tight as possible. And remember, you got to do it double. 20 one leg, 20 the other. Let me do my 20. Okay, now for my 20 for my right leg. Leg up. Okay, much tougher, but same focus. I will point out, you're landing on the ball of your foot. Okay, you don't want that heel to come down. And I tried my best to keep time on the ground minimal. But your jump height is decreased a little bit because it takes more power. Now you're asking one leg to give you the same jump that 2 was giving you before. But now let me do my other leg. Sideways. Oh, very bad. Oh. So I'm not the best at these. Anything unilateral for my legs, I'm not very good at. As you could see there when I was doing them, once I went sideways, I'm gonna do one more so you can see it. See how much my knee bends? We don't like that. That's not great. But that would be your unilateral plyometric polo hops. Okay, we're going to be doing some plyometric upper body exercises. And today we are going to be doing plyometric pull-ups, okay? Using our fancy handy dandy pull-up bar on our doorway. We're going to do 3 different ways. We're going to just change our hand grip and still execute our plyometric pull-up. Okay, so first up, first hand grip is going to be a supinated hand grip. So hands, palms facing your face, and you'll grip your bar overhead, probably about shoulder width or slightly in from shoulder width. And then now, since I'm tall, I'm going to lift my knees and allow for full extension. And now from here, you'll pull up, but you're going to do so explosively that when you pull, ooh, let me try another one. When you pull, you will release the bar and catch it with flexed arms, okay? So you'll pull up and catch. Pull up and catch. Now we're going to do 6. Those are just some practice ones. I'm gonna get in 6, and then we'll move on to the next one, okay? One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ooh. Okay. That was pretty solid. I think we'll do better with different hand grips, okay? But also, I want to emphasize that I went through those very quickly. Usually, let's allow some rest between reps, okay? I'm gonna take a little breather, and we will come back to continue. Okay, now, after our rest, we're back to do our next set, and we're going to do pronated hand grip. So now, your palms will be facing away from your face, okay? Same process, you'll grip the bar same way. If you have a wider bar, you could also widen it, but I am going to keep my hands in. We're going to extend, lift the knees, and we're going to pull up explosively and catch with a flexed arm position. So pull, catch. Now, I'll give myself a couple seconds. We'll get into the next one. You could also just keep hanging on the bar while you rest. Now we'll rest again, come back for our last set. Okay, and now for our last set of plyo pull-ups, we'll do it with a neutral hand grip. So your hands will be facing, your palms will be facing each other, okay? Now, my bar's on the outside here, so I'm doing here. You guys can't see my hands too well, but you can see this one, and it's in a neutral grip, okay? Now, same process. I'm going to let myself reach full extension, and then we'll pull up, throw ourselves, and catch with a flexed position, and return calmly, okay? Now. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Whew. Whew. Now I will say, those ones, neutral grip, were my favorite. All right, now that we've gotten our rest in, completed our pull-ups, I'm gonna tell you guys just the difference between doing them with our different grips, okay? Now, doing them this way, palms facing away, is going to put a bigger emphasis on your back, okay? If you do them with your palms facing you, it's gonna give much more work to the biceps, which can be okay if that's what you're looking for. But me personally, I don't like doing them palms facing me because I can do curls for that, okay? Now, a neutral grip is going to give a nice emphasis and addition to work done by your forearms, okay? Also a little bit of bicep, and I think a lot of people like this position, especially for pull-ups, because it's a very common pushing and pulling position, okay? Some real-world applications for doing plyometric pull-ups that I could think of easily off rip, like firefighters, first responders, in the military, right? In the movies, we see them climb these big walls, and at the end they gotta hoist themselves up, or sometimes they're pulling people up. I know that's a little different because you're pulling yourself, but that motion can also be applied in some sports like mountain climbing. Really cool stuff. Now, for our next upper body plyo exercise, we're going to be doing some push-ups. Okay, now we have 3 different versions, but starting off is going to be a simple push-up and lift off the ground. Okay, now you're gonna get up in push-up position. You want to starting position like a plank. So we'll have our hands under our shoulders here, back straight, and then you're going to press down and explode up and toss yourself and your upper body off the ground, okay? And that will be 1. We're gonna do 6 of them, and that'll be our first set. Right here. And now we actually want to go quicker than that. I know you guys can't see my feet, but 2, 3, 4, 2 more. We'll get our rest in and come back and do our next set. Okay, now for our next set, we're going to be doing clapping push-ups. So same thing, you're going to push up, but instead of just tossing yourself and landing, you're going to toss yourself up and clap. Now it is more difficult because I'm going to have to come up even more off the ground for a longer time to be able to clap compared to just and then landing. So let's get into it. We're gonna do 6. We'll get into push-up position. Press down and clap. It's 2, 3, 4, 5, one more, 6. Whew. Now again, I blew through those, but usually you can allow for some rest between reps. Okay. All right, now for our next plyo, our final plyo upper body exercise, we're going to be doing some more plyo push-ups, but we're going to be doing a lateral catch push-up, okay? Which means you're going to start push-up position, regular on the ground, except you're going to push up, biting the boxes slightly. You're going to push up and explode, except when you explode, you will catch on your laterally raised surfaces. So I'm gonna do 6. And that's 1. And we'll come back to our starting position. 2. 3. 4. 5. One more. And 6. That is our final version of our plyo push-ups. Okay, now it is time to get into some plyometric trunk exercise. And our first one we're going to be doing is going to be some rotational med ball throws, okay? I don't have a med ball, so my med ball is going to be my silent basketball. We can dribble in the house. My wall is a mattress because I don't want it to go bouncing everywhere off the wall. But anyway, into the exercise. For your rotational throw, you're gonna wanna stand shoulder width apart, okay? Legs pretty straight, slight tiniest flexion at the knee, okay? Back is going to be straight. I want you to have your shoulders back, chest flared out, okay? And your head is going to be straight and aligned with the spine. Now, you're gonna hold the med ball chest level, but instead of having flexed arms like me right now, we're going to extend with a slight flexion at the elbows, okay? We don't wanna be fully extended. It's a lot of pressure on the joints and also rounds out the shoulders. But here, we can keep our chest out, shoulders back, and we have the slightest of flexion here at the elbows, okay? Now, for your throw, you'll wanna be also positioned about 3 to 6 feet away from the wall. I'm actually gonna move over slightly more. And now, this will be your starting position. You're going to rotate your shoulders and your trunk away and your hips a little bit, but you wanna make sure your knees and your feet are not rotating, okay? So here, yes, here, no. Now we're going to rotate, and then we'll explode and release when we reach starting position, okay? Now I was slowed down for explaining purposes, but now let's get in our 6. We're going to go at working speed. That's 1. That's 2. That's 3. That's 4. That's 5. Sorry, I need to bend there while I'm doing that. That's 6. And now one thing I will say that's bothering me when I'm doing it, and also it's just, I'm not doing it with actual weight. This thing is very light. My arm keeps swinging. This one this arm is like swinging out here. We don't want that, okay? Even after the throw, you want to keep control, right? In sports too, right? In sports, we don't go out of control after our throws. So here, and keep control of your arms, okay? Now, for our next version of these, we're going to do it unilaterally with only one arm, okay? So you're gonna hold the med ball with one hand, and this hand will be doing nothing. I'm gonna put mine behind my back. Same position, but 3 to 6 feet away, shoulder width apart, chest out, slight flexion at the arm, and now it is gonna be more difficult to stabilize and to hold the med ball in one hand, right? So let's say we're doing a 15-pound med ball with 2 hands. Maybe let's go down to 10 and see how we do. If you could stay at the same weight, perfect, golden. Now the purpose of doing this is because it adds a bigger demand of stability, right? Now that you don't have 2 anchors here and only 1, off rip, even with no weight, I can feel in my body that we're doing a little more work in the trunk, okay? And we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna rotate and release at starting position, okay? Now, that's one. Like I said, I'm gonna put this hand behind my back. Let's do that. Starting position. 2, 3, 4. I think I could be going even quicker here on my stretch. 5, and last one, 6. But since we did it that way, we gotta switch and do it this side. And now that's the cool thing too, is even when we did it regular, like this, we came this way, we can turn around and go the other way, okay? But now, unilaterally. Three, 4, 5, 6. And now I will say too, when doing them with one hand, you feel a deeper rotation and stretch in the rhomboid, okay? Especially the one that's actually holding the weight, right? Because this one, you're not doing much. But when you come here, I feel a deeper rotation in just this one side as compared to here, right? And I think you can even see it because I'm kind of locked into a certain position here. But like this, it widens your range of motion. And then as you come back, there's a greater force production through your rhomboid in the arm holding the med ball, okay? Same with this way. Deeper range of motion and greater force demand on that specific muscle, okay? And then now for our last version, we're going to do them unilaterally, but for our legs. So we're still gonna have, now we're gonna have 2 hands on the med ball, but 1 leg up, okay? Now this, I would say, is a really advanced mode, okay? It's an extreme demand on stability. Now, doing it plyometrically, unilaterally on 1 leg, I think is great and does have its purposes because it can help your body stabilize and learn to stabilize unilaterally. Like, let's say a soccer player, right? They're producing a lot of force and rotation while staying on 1 leg. And they need to maintain that balance or else they might miss the ball, okay? Or they're gonna fall, or they're gonna have to adjust and not get what they originally wanted out of that movement. Now, do it. Same stance. Now, I'm gonna have one leg up. Same starting position. We'll go here and slam. That's one. That's two. Now me, I don't have the best stability and balance, so off rip, I'm struggling. And I don't even know if I'm keeping my leg up the entire rep. So let's really focus here on this third one. Good. I think ideally, it's okay to plant your leg back down after the rep, but maybe try and have the athlete maintain one leg position, a bilateral or a unilateral stance. I think we have two more. Definitely much harder. I will say I'm losing balance, not here, but through the force production. Here, when I'm releasing, it's hard for me to stabilize the same way and decelerate without losing posture and balance. Last one. And felt better, but I also was slower on the stretch. Now, other leg. I think I have one more. We'll do two more. All right. Ooh, last one. Dang. Sorry. Very nice. And that is our rotational throws for trunk plyometrics. Okay, now for our next trunk exercise, we're going to be doing some more med ball work, but we're going to be doing some med ball overhead slams. Okay, we got three different versions. First up is our standard med ball overhead slam. Okay, so for that, shoulder width, feet shoulder width apart. Okay, that might be a little too wide. Yeah, that's good. And then now, ball, med ball, or slam ball, preferably not a med ball, it'd be a slam ball. You will have it, we can start with it here at our chest, okay? Now we're going to extend overhead with a straight spine, okay? And as we extend with our arms, we're also going to extend, or we're going to plantar flex all the way into triple extension, okay? Once you reach here, you will slam down by flexing at the trunk and by flexing at the shoulders and somewhat at the elbows, okay? Now, let's do our 6. That's 1. That's 2. That's 3. That's 4. Let's do 2 sideways. See it? 5. And 6. That last one I think was pretty bad. I'm gonna do one more because I didn't feel much flexion. So, very nice. And now, our next set, we'll be doing them kneeling. Okay, now doing them kneeling is great because it removes the drive done by the legs, allowing for kind of some more isolation on the trunk and upper body, okay? Now, when doing it kneeling, you're gonna follow the same process, but now we're not going through triple extension. Okay. Sorry, getting my pads ready for my knees. And now, from our kneel position, we're going to still have a straight back. Okay, I want you to flex your glutes a little bit. Get them activated. And now, shoulders back, chest out. We're going to extend overhead and slam down, okay, with flexion at the trunk, shoulders, and slight up, okay. 1, 2. That was a little too long at the top. Too long of amortization. 3. Oh, ball's gone. We got 3 more. 2 more. 5. Last one. Let's restart. 6. Woo. Now, definitely much more emphasis on your trunk and as well as your shoulders to execute your slam as compared to when you're going through triple extension. It allows some drive from your legs, okay? Now, last version of these, we're going to do them with a shifted focus from kneeling to now a squat jump with an overhead slam, okay? Now, this adds more drive from the legs. However, I think it's amazing, and I have some real sport application for you. Volleyball players are jumping, but producing force downward at the upper body, while force is moving upward at the lower body. Therefore, doing some squat, jump, overhead slams would be great for them because it teaches your nervous system to get used to that type of contradicting force production from your lower and upper body. Now, to do it, follow the same process. You have slam ball at your chest, feet shoulder width apart, but now, instead of this being our motion, we're going to squat and extend at the same time, and then jump and slam, okay? You'll want to explode through your squat into a jump as you're slamming and flexing at the trunk and the shoulders, okay? Now, let's do our 6. Now, I think we can go even faster, especially on our squat. We gotta go quick, okay? Two more, I'll do 2 more. Now, when doing these, also important, you want to make sure we're maintaining our proper squatting mechanics as well as proper overhead press mechanic and landing. That's what's getting me right now. 1 more and let's get a real good squat. Very nice. Now that is your jump squat overhead slam with a slam ball, trunk plyometrics. Okay, now for our next drill, we're going to be doing some agility drills with a ladder, okay, for feet quickness. We're gonna use 2 sets of rings. We'll go through one and then come around and go through the other, and that will be 1 set, okay? We've got 6 rings. And for our first drill, we're going to be doing feet in, out, out, following that pattern. Now, let me set the camera up for you so you can see me. Right there. Now, when doing this drill, important to really focus on the footwork. Okay, that's the purpose of it, is to get the right footwork as fast as possible. So we're going in, out, out. So 1 foot in the ring, 1 foot in, 1 foot out, 1 foot out. You'll start at the front of the ring, probably about hip width apart, and when we say go, you execute as fast as possible. Keep your back straight. You don't want to be rounded. Down here, you want to be up tall, minimal flexion, slight flexion at the knees and hips, okay? 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay? Much better. I'm going to do one more to get a cleaner set. Here. Beautiful. That is our first set. Okay, now after about a minute and a half of rest, I'm back and I'm ready to do my next set. For our next set, we're going to be doing an out, out, in pattern. So 1 foot out, 1 foot out, 1 foot in, 1 foot in. So we're just reversing the direction or the timing of the footwork. So out, out, in, out, out, in, out, out. Okay, last set of foot quickness drills with our ladder or our rings. We're going to be doing a lateral in, out, out drill. Okay, so kind of like the first one, but now we're doing it laterally, so sideways. I'm gonna have to go slower because this one it's a little more difficult. So in, out, out, in, out, out, and then we'll come back here. Beautiful. Now I'm going to try and do it faster. Beautiful. Beautiful. And that is your lateral in, out, out foot quickness drill. All right, now for some closed agility drills, we're going to be doing 3 variations of an L cone drill. Something I used a lot as a football coach. Okay, now this is cone A, cone B, and cone C. You'll start at cone A. Now for our first one, first variation, we're just doing a standard sprinting cone drill. Normally you'll want to do it with shoes, but I'm at work and we can't wear shoes on this blue floor, so I'm doing it without. But you'll sprint from cone A to cone B. Then you're going to turn sharp and stay low around cone B to cone C. Turn low and sharp to cone B. Turn sharp and return to cone A. Now, I'm gonna record it. We're gonna go fast. 3, 2, 1. Go. And that's 1. Not the cleanest. I don't have the best change of direction. But notice, I don't know, I'm pretty sure you were able to see, as I turned around, I came low, came out, and came low into my turn to help me get around quicker. Now we'll take a breather and then do our next set. Now for our next set, we're gonna be doing our L drill with some side shuffles and sprints, okay? So you'll start at cone A, and you're going to sprint to cone B, shuffle from B to C, turn and sprint from C to B, and then shuffle from B back to A. So I'm going to show you. You're going to start with the sprint, shuffle, sprint, shuffle, and we are done. Now, when doing these, important on the shuffles that we get low. We don't want to be shuffling up here, okay? Not realistic. It's not how you do that. Bend at the knees, arms out, okay? Almost in kind of an athletic landing position, sort of, but wider stance for the feet. And then, second thing, don't cross the feet, okay? When we shuffle, you don't want to do this. We're not running sideways. We're shuffling. And then also too, like on our sprints, the idea is to sprint and then decelerate into our shuffle. We'll take a breather and do our last set. Okay, now, last set, we're going to do a back pedal to a sprint instead of a shuffle to a sprint. Now this drill particularly, biggest difference, especially for athletes, talking about football, I did not have linemen doing a back pedal L drill, okay? But I had corners doing it. I had linebackers doing side shuffle L drill. We had receivers, skills positions, doing our sprinting one, okay? So there, right there is 3 differences for why you do it. Corners backpedal a lot and have to learn how to sprint into that from a backpedal, okay? Linebackers do a lot of lateral movement side to side and also have to learn how to explode forward after or through a lateral movement. Now for our backpedals, start at cone A. You backpedal from A to B, turn and sprint from B to C, backpedal from C to B, and turn and sprint to A. So, sprint. Sprint. One more time, and I think I might have mixed up my directions, so I'm just gonna backtrack. You're going to sprint from A to B, backpedal from B to C, sprint from C to B, and then backpedal from B to A. Final set of our closed agility drills. Okay, for our next closed agility drill, we're doing a Y cone drill where you make a Y shape with your cones. So I have 3 cones to start the Y, and then I have some dots on the ground out there, so that way it can complete our Y. The idea of this drill is to work on some change of direction when going at high speeds. You'll start the drill at this cone, and you can usually do this drill. It's meant for football teams, so you can do this with your team, having one group come this way and one group come this way. What you're going to do is start back there, and you're going to run diagonally, full speed, from cone A to cone B. But at cone B, we're going to shift direction from running diagonally to running straight, okay? And then, when you reach the next cone, you will shift direction and you will run diagonal. Okay. I'm going to move these in slightly because I don't have the biggest space. And then after your final cut, you just run 3 to 5 yards, decelerate, and return to lock. So, go. Start going in. I'm going to be going to my left. Go. I'll do it again. One more time. This time I'll go to the right. Go. This drill is beautiful to run with receivers, with running backs, with your quarterback. Great for corners, great for linebackers, great for D linemen, edge rushers specifically, not your DTs. Okay, probably not a drill you're gonna do for linemen, offensive linemen or defensive tackles, right? But it's great for all these other positions because we are constantly changing direction multiple times at the hips, which is what we are doing in this drill, okay? Now, we're gonna take a breather and get into our next variation. Okay, now for our next variation, we're starting at the same cone in the back. We're going to either cones B's on the sides, and then at the next dot, we're going to cut again. But now, our cones, still in a Y position, we're still following that path. We're going to run from here to cone B. And at cone B, now instead of a turn upward, okay, we're going to do a full 90-degree turn. And at the next cone, cone C, a full 90-degree turn, and you'll finish your 3 to 5 yard sprint up until we are done, okay? Now, do it. 3, 2, 1, go. One more time. Now, when doing this, as you can see here with my two cones, cone B and cone C, depending on how you space them, it'll make that cut different. Okay, for me, with the way I had them spaced, I had one step from here to here, and then we cut up, which is a realistic move in football. Okay, but so is 2 steps, so is 3, so is 4. So if you have the space and you are trying to work on maybe route running specifically, you would maybe want this to be 5 yards apart from here, okay? We'll take a breather and get into our last version. Okay, now for our final variation, we've got our rounded Y cone drill. So we'll start here, and we have all these cones to indicate the line that we're running on, okay, the path that we're following. So when doing this, I think this is a great progression from the last two, because in sports, realistically, also in football, we don't get to have such sharp cuts usually, right? Sometimes we're doing a lot of rounded running, but we need to learn how to efficiently and effectively do that quickly without hurting ourselves or lowering our performance. So we'll train it by starting from here, cone A, and we'll end at cone B, okay? But as we run, we want to keep our head and try our best to keep our center of gravity over this line of cones. So we're gonna keep our inside foot, in this case our left foot, as tight to these cones as possible. So this side of your body, you want to try and keep straight and aligned as you turn and curve through the Y. So when I go, 3, go again. I tried my best to keep my center of gravity over my line. So as you run, you're going to run and keep this leg as close to the cones as possible. And I even had my head sort of leaned to help me come around this curve faster, okay? But you got to do it controlled, because if not, you're going to lose your balance and you will fall inside of these cones, okay? Or you'll fall at the end of the exercise. But that is all of our closed agility drills. Okay, my athletes were preoccupied, so I don't really know how to do my open agility drills by myself. So I'm gonna talk about what I was going to do. So for my first open agility drill, I was thinking about basketball practice, okay? And how we get into our basketball stance. And a good drill to do, that would be open agility, is coach, or me, I was going to have the ball and dribble, and the athlete will be in a defensive stance, and they're going to shuffle sideways following the direction that I go. So if I dribble to the left, they'll shuffle to the left. If I dribble to the right, they'll shuffle to the right. I did this when I was a basketball coach for middle schoolers, and I mean, I had fun with it. You know, I did some dribble moves, I tried to fake them out, and it was a great way to train some of that defense without actually playing some defense. Variation 2, for set 2, I was going to do it now, not just moving sideways, but also forward and back. I did this again with my middle schoolers. Now I start dribbling forward up court, so they're on one half of the court and I'm on the other half. They'll stay on their half, I'll stay on mine. They're not actually guarding me. But if I dribble forward, they're going to start coming back, like if they're playing defense and protecting their basket, right? If I go sideways, they're going to go, if I go to the right, they're going to go to the right. If I go left, they're going to go to the left. If I start dribbling back, they're going to move forward. But the idea was for them to stay in their defensive stance the entire time. And then for variation 3, this is something that I should have done when I coached these middle schoolers, is now also add in a shot component, right? When you're playing basketball, you got to close out on a shot. So same drill, we're going sideways, left, right, forward, and back in our defensive stance. However, once I go for a jump shot on my half of the court, they will give me a 3-step closeout. 1, 2, 3, break down, hands up, or one hand up to contest the shot. Beautiful example of open agility and a great drill to do for basketball players. I did it with my middle schoolers, and I wish I would have done that last one too. Would have been a great way to reinforce some of the things that I did to teach them about closing out. Now that was going to be my open agility. To do some open agility by myself, I would have to change the drill from that. But maybe you could use some lights, or even, I'm sure there's like a YouTube video, right? You could put a YouTube video on your phone that, I don't know, the screen changes colors, and you assign a color a different direction, and you can kind of go from there. I want to talk about a football agility drill, open agility drill. That'd be great for defensive linemen. You got to watch the ball before it's snapped to the quarterback, right? Because there's, the quarterback can say hut, but the ball doesn't move. And the linemen move, and now it's a penalty, and we're giving them free yards, right? So it is a drill that coaches do a lot, but to make it an open agility drill, we could actually snap the ball to a quarterback, or just another coach. Can be a coach. They're not actually going to tackle them, okay? But After the ball is snapped, they will react to the way that the player runs. If they drop back, they're going to run straight to him for the sack. If he rolls out this way, they're going to follow him to the right. If he rolls out left, they'll follow him to the left. Maybe he comes over for a handoff, right? Maybe he starts going in the motion for a pitch. They'll want to close out on the pitch, right, on the running back. But we'll keep it simple. First set. I'll be down as center with the ball in my hands. And then the athlete, or it could be multiple, on the D line will be lined up like a defensive lineman in front of me in their three-point stance, okay? From their three-point stance, they're going to watch the ball. I'm going to have a quarterback or another coach that's going to be saying hut or hike, down say hey, whatever. But they're not moving until the ball does, okay? And once the ball gets to the quarterback or the coach, that's where it becomes open because they're reacting to the way he runs. Also, focusing on making sure they don't go at the wrong time. To make it even harder, something I saw on YouTube recently that I thought was really cool, they had a third coach behind the lineman, and he was throwing like a ping pong ball at the football. So the coach was saying hut, but the ball wasn't moving, and they were throwing a ping pong ball at the ball to kind of simulate some sort of motion to trick the lineman into going early, right? So I think that would be a really cool way to make that even more difficult. And then to make third set even harder, now we're going to add a running back. We're going to add a fourth coach who's going to be at running back. And the coach who's playing QB has the option to hand off or pitch, which is going to make it even harder of a drill because they're not only reacting to just the quarterback, but they're adding another stimuli to have to react to, potentially. And that is my open agility. All right, now for our cool down, we're going to be doing some static stretching. One set by 30 seconds. Okay. First, we're going to do some seated toe touches. Put my feet out in a Y. I like to do opposite hand to my toe. Can't see it because it's at the camera. 30 seconds. And you switch sides. Okay, now do some static rector stretches. Switch sides. Now we're gonna do 2 more standing hip flexors and then a quad stretch. Hip flexors, feet apart, one kind of in front of the other. Flex the glute, and then we'll lean this way. And we're stretching right here. Switch sides. Okay. And your quad. Switch. And 15.